This week on Crypto Unchained, the interviewer becomes the interviewee as I sit down with crypto news to discuss SwissBorg's latest developments and the launch of our ICO competition.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto News TV. In this quick video we're going to be speaking with Vince Howard with SwissBorg, talking about exactly what is SwissBorg and their ICO competition currently going on now. So let's go ahead and get right into that interview. Hey Vince, this is Shane with Crypto News TV. How are you doing today?
Hi Shane, I'm great and thank you for inviting me onto your show.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day to come on with us. Do you mind telling me or the viewers here what you do with SwissBorg?
Yeah, sure. I am the head of marketing for SwissBorg. I'm based in London. And I look after our marketing communications across the world and basically try to ensure that we keep our community happy and we communicate our plans and obviously trying to grow our community across the world.
Fantastic. And can you tell me a little bit about SwissBorg and the CHSB token?
Yeah, sure. So to those who may have not heard of SwissBorg, we are originally founded in Switzerland. We're a fintech company, and we successfully carried out our ICO just under a year ago. We reached out and grew a community of approximately 70,000 people from over 150 countries around the world. And just under half of that community invested in our token. And SwissBorg is pretty much where we try to combine the principles of extensive know-how and the fintech experts that we have in our team, and that's the man side of it. And the Borg is combining that with state-of-the-art technology like machine learning and AI. And that is how we come up with the term SwissBorg itself. And to those who don't know, again, the CHSB is our cryptocurrency token. And that cryptocurrency token sits at the heart of our financial ecosystem. So all of the products that and solutions that we develop are centered around our token. And the token is designed to be multifaceted. So it comes with a multitude of benefits, but we call it our community-centric coin or token because it is primarily the way in which you join our community. And our CHSB holders are rewarded for holding the token and also for voting in referendums which decide the future of our company.
Wow, that's fantastic. And, I see here with SwissBorg, some very impressive things, especially with indexes and stuff like that. And based on the referencing of being rewarded for holding SwissBorg token or the CHSB, what are some other reasons why someone might get involved with SwissBorg?
Yeah, sure. One of the really important topics or concerns, I think, for millennials and people presumably of our generation, I'm assuming your age here, Shane, is that, we're very big on ownership of our own data and much more conscious than maybe we were 10 or even 15 years ago. We've all seen these scandals with, Cambridge Analytica and other companies where we see how individual data can be misused. So I think ownership is a very important topic for people. And I also think the scandals with banks and people seeing how unreliable some traditional financial organizations can be has probably left a lot of people disillusioned with wealth management and the way banking is done in general. SwissBorg, we are made up of fintech experts, marketing experts, engineers, and a governance structure. And all of us have come from backgrounds where we have worked in traditional finance. I came from asset management and also came from KPMG not too long ago. And, we all have that consensus where we want to create a better way for people to manage their wealth. We don't want for an individual, if you want to get access to premium financial management or tools, you have to be sort of a high net worth individual. And our real ethos for SwissBorg and for people who may be interested in this is we want to offer wealth management solutions from as little as €1. We don't want there to
Wow.
be any barrier at all. And we really believe in proof of merit. We call it our meritocracy concept, because we believe that people who contribute to the community, i.e. vote or become a cyborg analyst and analyze ICOs with us, we believe they should be rewarded. It shouldn't be a case of us getting rich and selling off our tokens or getting equity in shares. We really believe it's about people proving their worth to the network, whether it's our swarm intelligence and helping others to use our platforms, making recommendations, sharing knowledge. We believe everybody should be rewarded.
Well, certainly, yeah.
Crypto out there, we really understand that the value in what we do is in the community, treating them fairly and rewarding them for their contributions.
I agree. I mean, that sounds completely unique. Do you see anyone as a competitor within this space, or similar to what you guys are doing with SwissBorg?
I'm really, bold in saying this, but I really don't see there being, personally too many competitors to SwissBorg. That is not to say that we aren't in a space where we are competing for, eyes and ears and minds, so to speak, because of course there are lots of people who use other traditional savings investment platforms, who of course could be the people who would benefit from using our platform in future and our smart wallet and investment app. But the reason why I don't see them as competitors, so to speak, is because what we're putting together with the community is really, really unique. There are a lot of off-the-shelf solutions that claim to sort of have crypto indices and ability to invest over multiple tokens. But the solution we're putting together at SwissBorg is so much more than that. We are all working with institutional grade teams, one such in London, and they're developing an order management system for us. We're developing the liquidity that we need to make this the whole system work. And also the way in which it works is, and I'm going back to the ownership concept, when people are able to invest in the indices, they will actually own that. They have ownership of that, and they're not buying like a fund where somebody would put money and a fund manager would manage that. They actually own that crypto. So we are actually purchasing that, rebalancing that. So these people are buying into a strategy itself. And that sort of proprietary, again, we're not buying anything from existing providers, so to speak, really hasn't been executed in the way in which we are doing now and working very hard to. So I really don't see too many competitors for us in that space.
Yeah, I can agree with you. I mean, because right then and there, I mean, a lot of different people that have indexes or fund managers, you're absolutely right. They won't, like, it's not like you own those tokens. Like, are you able to actually withdraw, say, if you're a part of the index and it happened to buy, for example, maybe some EOS or some other token in the index, could an individual withdraw just that token if they wanted to?
This is something that we really debated quite intensively at SwissBorg as to whether or not we should set it up in that way. But the problem with that, so if you imagine, let's just say you had our SB10 fund index, sorry, and you've got 10 cryptos. And what we've done is our investment team have automatically balanced them for you. So they might say, 10% of that is Bitcoin, 5% is EOS, another 15% is Cardano, some is Ethereum, et cetera, et cetera. Now, what we don't want people to have to do is what they do now in a 24/7 open, always open, always awake crypto market. You invest in a cryptocurrency and you've got to constantly, or a lot of people have to constantly watch the price. You can trade night and day. You can go to bed one night and your token be at one price. You wake up in the morning and your position can move quite significantly. Of course, there are tools, stop losses, etc., that you can put in place, buy, sell orders to mitigate that, but it is very complicated. And what we wanted to offer is automatic rebalancing. So what would happen is when you buy into the indices, you would have your holdings automatically rebalanced by us according to the strategy to make sure that to the best of our ability, you get the best possible return with the least input and effort into that. So individually allowing users to sell from the indices would defeat that whole purpose. However, at any point in time, once this is set up, you are able to withdraw your SB, your SP10. You can sell as many units as you want. You can buy as many units as you want. And with the systems that we'll be putting in place, the settlement of that will be almost instantaneous, technology permitting. So you still have the flexibility to buy and sell as you wish, but without much of the complication and technical know-how that you need to have today.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a lot of this is going to be hands-free, which will help a lot of these beginner investors or those that just don't want to spend too much time in it, especially like myself, because you're right, you can wake up one day after buying a coin and wake up the next morning and it's 20% down, or even worse in some situations. Or it could be good, but most of the time it can be a little stressful.
It can definitely work in your favor, right? And I've had a few of those, but I really think, especially 2018, from January to today, I think it's really shown people that it's difficult, it's sentiment driven, it can be volatile. And although there's a lot of retail money, or the majority of, or a lot of investors, I shouldn't say majority, are retail based, you have to err a degree of caution. And to just give an example of how this has worked for us, we don't just talk about it, we execute it. We raised 52 million US dollars in our ICO, and subsequently, crypto in market has been down about 80% there or thereabouts. Had that happened, we would be left with very little money of that 50 million or so. And that's not even taking into account the offices we've set up and the tech we've invested in, and building our team up across the world. Because of our hedging strategies, because of us having good governance, and being able to balance the money that we had and reinvesting it in other, hedging it, we've been able to keep 30 million of that money today. Had, again, as I mentioned, the crypto market's gone down and we just kept that, in the deposits that we received, we would probably be holding around $10 million today. So, Marco and our team in the investment side have done a really good job of this. And I hope that, users will be hopefully very soon, because we're working very hard on this, be able to benefit from this, the expertise that we have within the team.
Certainly. I mean, I believe it was Warren Buffett said it this, where even the most experienced and veteran trader would lose to an index fund because of the rebalancing and just the way that it works.
Yeah, no, I totally. It's a great quote, and I won't say any names, but some of the, the asset managers that I worked for were in the active asset management space, and of course they never liked hearing the statistics on indexes outperforming active management. No matter what they do, even the best of the best will lose to an index over time, usually, or at least the majority of them will.
Oh yeah, I mean 70% of traders definitely, I think, will in that regard. But transitioning here to what I currently see you guys are starting to do, which is the ICO incubator. Can we talk a little bit about how ICOs can join, or is it for those that are newly forming these projects or ideas with that?
Yeah, totally. The ICO competition has only just launched. We've done a little bit of a soft launch of it, I would say. We are going to ramp up the promotion as the weeks and months go on. But the idea is that, we had the very successful ICO a little under a year ago, as I mentioned earlier on. And we have quite a lot of expertise from running a successful ICO, from the governance side of it, the KYC, the AML. We know how to optimize to get the best conversion rates, in terms of people actually applying and investing. And we know from our experience that the solutions that were available, some of them were not really great. And in our experience, it was quite inadequate. So we went out and we built our own ICO platform from the ground up. And we want to offer that opportunity to other entrepreneurs with great ideas who think that they can use blockchain technology to disrupt or improve industries, with their idea. So we started this competition with the idea to basically provide lots of help to great ideas. And going back to the way in which our community works, we talk about contribution and being rewarded. We're offering community members or people the ability to apply to become SwissBorg analysts, is what we call it, because we will be recruiting our analysts to rate the ICO projects themselves. And the whole idea, again, is for the winner of the ICO competition, they will receive approximately 100 Bitcoin in support, and that will be across the access to our platform, which we in future will charge for usage of, the flexibility for them to be able to accept contributions in both fiat and crypto, which we know can be very complicated. We have a fully integrated KYC AML process. And of course, most importantly, we have access to a very large community who are interested in new ICOs.
Yeah.
To a great project. They need it.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to become an analyst, I know you were talking about that, would they just go onto the website and apply, or is there any kind of, experience that's required for these analysts?
Yeah, for the analysts, it's really quite simple. We've got the ICO competition website. I was just going to check for it, actually, so I can give it out. But what will happen is when you go on there, there's a really slick sign-up form, which asks you to give a little bit of information, and then we will then contact you. Of course, we ask for a little bit of information and want to find out your background in terms of, if you have any experience investing in ICOs. But primarily, we want people who have some experience, who may have come from a traditional financial background, who may just be an enthusiast. But of course, we want the best people who want to start getting involved. And of course, I think it's also quite a good opportunity because it gives people the opportunity themselves to gain experience in, analyzing ICOs and getting more involved in crypto.
Most certainly, I agree with you. Will voters have to, vote with the SwissBorg token, or how will the voting kind of process work in that regard?
Yeah, it's a good question. They will have to, at the time, we'll release a little bit more information on how the voting process will work. But again, primarily the analysts, once they've signed up, will be contacted by the SwissBorg team. And we will give them much more information. The platform will have everything they need to know in terms of how they're voting and how we execute it. But that will all be made very, very clear once we get the voting process underway.
All right. And would this be the only ICO competition, or will there potentially be more in the future as well?
So no, this certainly won't be. And the reason why we're doing this competition is because as CHSB holders, we held a referendum a couple of months back asking, what are the industries that we should focus on for the ICO competition? And overwhelmingly, in this case, it was voted for gaming industry. That seemed to be a big interest for our community members. But certainly, we plan to probably do the ICO competition twice a year, where we'll probably open up the focus to look at other industries in future.
Definitely, yeah, that sounds wonderful. And I know you guys have a lot of experience, and with your platform that you guys have built with the KYC integration and the different ways that these companies can actually start accepting Bitcoin or Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies for their ICO. But how do you envision to kind of help market and bring the winning project to gain attraction and awareness within the community?
Yeah, again, another really good question. One of the problems I think plaguing ICOs today and their reputation is probably the fact that it doesn't help that you can go onto Fiverr.com right now and you can Google white paper and you'll find a plethora of individuals who are willing to write you a white paper, an ICO white paper, for probably $5.
Yeah.
That really doesn't help the credibility, and it has a reputation now, some ICOs, of people not having half-baked ideas, which haven't been vetted. They can't be verified, they haven't been analyzed by anybody credible. So there's no real work and effort put into these ICOs themselves. With this, I think anybody who comes through the process, whether you win or not, You are basically saying you've been brave enough to put your project in front of people who are analyzing it and will be very objective with what you're trying to achieve.
Mm.
Uh, is probably, a very good, the litmus test for you. Because if you're able to stand up
Wow.
to that scrutiny, which I think all good products should be willing to put themselves in front of,
Of course.
again, it will show that there's some credibility behind you. And also for you attracting future investors, show that you've had some proper analysis done of your project. And also, of course, at that same time, you're getting promoted, it's being promoted too.
Certainly. Is there currently a list where people can kind of view these ICOs or start voting or analyzing them now, or is this still going to be released soon?
So we're in the awareness phase right now. So we are trying to get more people to apply. As I said, we've only just opened it up this week, actually. So we've had some applications come in, and they're growing by the day. So we're through the phase now where we'll be collecting more DAOs and ICOs that want to take part, and also the SwissBorg analysts. And probably after about 4 to 6 weeks, we will then start releasing information on the ICOs themselves, so people will be able to view that on the competition.swissborg.com website, so they can get more information on the voting process and see who's taking part.
Fantastic, fantastic. So I have about 2 more questions here. I don't want to take too much of your time, but what do you mean by a holistic crypto wealth management? I was reading this on the website, and it had mentioned a holistic crypto wealth management, and was just curious about that.
Yeah, no, it's again a really good question. Holistic wealth management has always been something that we've talked about. It's on our white paper, and as you mentioned, the website. And for us, really, we see this as an ecosystem. The CHSP token being at the heart of it. We're not just looking at creating a cryptocurrency which we want to speculate on and people make money or lose money. We're creating indices so people can invest across other crypto currencies. We are also creating our investment app via the smart wallet, which again will give people the ability to buy these cryptos and convert them back into fiat. So again, we're covering another area. We're doing the ICO competition, which will give people the ability to become advisors, vote, and also be rewarded. So we're looking at the ICO part of it. And also, as mentioned before, we're doing the referendums and rewarding our token holders for holding the token and participating in helping to take the direction of the company. So with all of the solutions that we speak about, we look at them sort of being full circle, not just looking at one side of the market, but putting in place lots of other utilities and solutions. So, for us, we always look at the big picture, not just, niche areas of the market. So holistic for us means covering all of the important areas of wealth management, and obviously also not excluding any individuals. As I mentioned, we don't intend to have any high thresholds for entry into any of our products.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that just €1. That's very impressive. It's very unheard of. Like, even trying to deposit just $1 into just one exchange is not going to work in most cases because you don't meet the minimum deposit. So being able to invest with just $1 into the indices and the index is very unique in my opinion.
Great. Yeah. And I mean, for us, I think, this is really driven by the customer, by the audience. And, even very recently in the UK, there was a study, and I'm sure it's probably the same in many of, the US and North America and in Asia. But 51% of students in the UK either hold crypto or plan to hold crypto in the very near future. So I think it's, again, super, super important. I mean, millennials are a big part of the crypto audience. So it's super important not to have, very high barriers to entry. I mean, for example, a lot of the savings accounts in the UK, to get the best savings rate, you've got to, lock away £500 to £1,000 often, which is sometimes beyond people. So again, we want this to be really inclusive to everybody.
Yeah, and one of the main reasons I think millennials are so into cryptocurrency is because it's weird that I'm going to say that crypto is simple or it's just understandable to these younger kids, but to the older generation it's a little more different and it's more new and confusing. But when these when these kids, they look at it and they understand, okay, I'll have one coin, and this coin I'll always have, and it's not like an option or a stock, and they understand that this is like a limited supply. Like, it dumbs everything down for the investment side of it. And I think that's what makes it so popular for these younger kids and these millennials, is because it's so simple and it makes sense. Where a lot of these stocks, options, or forexes, like, it can get confusing, and people just don't want to get involved, I feel like, because of that whole aspect of it.
One thing I'd add to that, and I'm in agreement with you, Shane, is the soup of the day is about ownership and control.
Hmm.
If we look at maybe dating in the 80s or 90s, whether it be people introducing you to a friend on a blind date, or used to make where you would film yourself and say, "Hi, I'm Shane. I'm from, Oregon, and I do this and that for my age." And people would actually go and get these DVDs, these videos, sorry, VHS. They'd watch them, and then you would sort of write in or call in to get a date with this person, or agencies would handle this. And now, of course, we just have Tinder, or any of the
Yeah.
other dating apps that you have. With networking, again, we use LinkedIn now, and people are connecting peer to peer. So that whole movement of being person to person and not having a middleman, being
Mm.
decentralized, is very much the soup of the day for millennials. And I think they're coming to the realization that, why isn't this happening with banking? Why do I have to go through a bank to, invest money, or hold
Mhm.
my, help me to increase my net worth? And of course, we're in our infancy with that. But I don't see that going any other way than up in future. Because, one of the things I was saying to a colleague very recently is, I've got two young children. I don't think they will ever step foot in a bank. There'd be absolutely no reason for them to. So I don't think it's totally alien to younger generations to have ownership of their own wealth, controlling their own wealth. I
Yeah.
think that would be. I think they'll look back at the days of us going to banks and, putting money in, and if you want to take out a large sum of your own money, you've got to give them advance notice. I think they'll probably laugh at those days and
Yeah.
wonder, why if I have to send you money via one of the popular remittancy companies, I send you £100, I'm going to spend, 10 or maybe £15 in fees. I think they're going to
Yeah.
laugh at the days of all of this. And I
Oh
very much
yeah.
feel a revolution is coming.
Certainly, certainly. It's 100% true. I mean, it's already happening now. I mean, a buddy of mine, he just got his real estate license, got his first big check, and the bank calls him and tells him, "Your funds are on hold. We can't deposit it." And he's expecting to get the money. Like, what the heck? He can't pay his bills, and has to confirm that he got a new job and all this stuff. Like, so it's definitely like, it's an issue for a lot of people in their control of what they can or can't do, or always a second guess to make sure, and verification. Because, I mean, you look at it, the bank's ledgers, it's all done manually, where it has to be verified. And with cryptocurrency, I told this to somebody the other day. I've never gone negative in my account. I've never had negative Bitcoin or negative coins. Uh, the blockchain, the cryptocurrency ledger is absolutely amazing. It lets you know exactly how much you have at any given time. And that's something banks can't necessarily do. That's why they have these fees and other things that go with it.
Yeah, totally agree with you.
But when it comes to your community, now, will you guys ever close off the opportunity for someone to join the community, or will it always be open?
Uh, we have no plans of closing off the community to people who, want to get involved and in future will contribute, whether it be voting or taking part in any of the other initiatives that we have. The one thing I will say, however, is, the opportunity cost of being part of the community will inevitably go up in future. And
Hmm.
the reason I say that is, as we develop this tech, and as, adoption of blockchain technology and crypto grows in future, which nobody can say with 100% certainty, but it is my very strong belief. More money will get involved, be that institution and retail. And of course, the cost of the token, the price of the token, SwissBorg and others will rise. And as that rises, of course, the cost of being involved and getting involved increases. So I would say probably, there really is no time like the present, if people want to take the opportunity and get involved and become part of the community.
100% agree with you, man. A limited supply coin is very risky to wait to get involved in. It's better to just get your position and then hold on to it, because the supply is very limited with SwissBorg token.
Agreed. Yeah.
So is there anything else that we missed, Vince, or that we should go over?
No, I think that was great. I'm not sure how much time we used, but I thought it was a pretty strong interview. Thank you.
Definitely, yeah, man. I thought it was good too. It was a pleasure having you, man. I really appreciate you taking out the time and coming on board with us to talk about SwissBorg and answer some questions that we had regarding the project.
Thank you very much, Shane, and I really appreciate you guys helping us to get involved.
Certainly, and if you need anything in the future, just feel free to reach out. We're just an email or call away.
Thank you very much, Shane. Appreciate that. Have a great evening yourself.
All right, bye-bye.
Cheers. Thank you.